Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, June 22nd meeting of the Marysville City Council. And appreciate everybody who's here tonight. And I want to ask Reverend Mark Fisher from Bethlehem Lutheran to come up, and appreciate you doing tonight's invocation. We'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and my apologies for missing my last commitment a couple of months back. But let us pray. Good and gracious God, in this anniversary of 250 years as a nation, you have empowered its citizenry to take positions of leadership and also positions of service within the various municipalities and counties and states of this great nation of ours. We ask, Lord, that your gracious and loving and merciful hand be upon the citizens that raise their voice today in either acts of justice or for bringing attention to issues that need our focus. We ask that you would bless the sitting council members and all the citizens that come here with their voices. Empower each of them with wisdom, with courage, and with great compassion for the people that they serve. In our God's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Condilius. Here. Councilmember James.
Here.
Councilmember Perkins.
Here.
Councilmember Richards.
Here.
Councilmember Norton.
Here.
Mayor Neering.
Here, thank you. Council President Stevens requested an excused absence, and I believe Councilmember Mueller did as well, yeah. Councilmember Richards.
I'll make a motion to excuse Council President Stevens and Councilmember Mueller.
Councilmember
Second.
Norton. Okay.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Richards, seconded by Councilmember Norton to excuse Council President Stevens and Councilmember Mueller. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we do have some presentations this evening. First was on the schedule was our Snow Isle Library presentation, and Lindsay Hansen, and then our Eric Spencer, our librarian. Oh, there's Lindsay. Great. And Eric's back there. Sorry, I couldn't see you guys. I was looking around the room for you. Yes. Lindsay, we appreciate you coming, and Eric as well, and looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. So as Mayor Neering, Lindsay Hansen, Community Libraries for Snow Isle Libraries. I support our East District libraries, which include the Marysville location, Lake Stevens, Granite Falls, Snohomish, Monroe, and Sultan. So throughout my 15 years working at Snow Isle, I've had the opportunity to work closely with libraries across the district, including managing the Lake Stevens Library. Currently, I'm also honored to serve as a board member for the Greater Marysville Tulalip Chamber Board, but tonight I'm here wearing my Snow Isle hat. I'm proud to share that Snow Isle Libraries is a major employer here in the Greater Marysville Library or Marysville area. Between the library and our administrative center, we have over 100 employees in Marysville. Snow Isle Libraries has served Snohomish and Island counties for 64 years, since 1962. Snow Isle Libraries is an independent library district serving over 800,000 residents in Snohomish and Island County through 23 community libraries, online services, and the Bookmobile. We would not be able to provide the incredible services to our communities without the support of local organizations and government partners. And together, we're working toward our vision of connecting everyone with their library. At Snow Isle Libraries, we provide learning opportunities for everyone, regardless of their stage in life. Through publicly funded, accessible services like free books, technology, welcoming spaces, and educational programs, we open the door for every resident to explore ideas, discover information, and build meaningful connections in our communities. So we have a lot happening in 2026. We are currently embarking on a strategic planning effort to better understand our community's priorities and how the library can support them. We launched a survey that's going to run through June 30th, and I'll say a little bit more about that feedback opportunity shortly. We also are currently in the midst of summer reading. We kicked up our summer reading program on June 1st, and it's been so fun to see the families coming in together to sign up, get excited about reading, and make the library part of their summer routines. There's a real sense of energy and connection in our libraries right now. One exciting new addition this year is that adults can participate in summer reading too. So not only does this make it more fun for everyone, but this also plays an important role in early literacy. When children see adults reading and engaging with books, it helps build those lifelong reading habits in children. Adults who read 10 hours will get a Snow Owl tote bag, and kids will get stickers and a free book. And of course, we've got lots of fun programs to fill up your summer bucket list. We also this summer will be asking residents to vote on a library levy rate restoration. It's an important decision that will shape the future of Snow Owl libraries and the communities we serve, and I'll share more about that shortly as well. So going back to our strategic plan survey, you can see there's a QR code on the screen. My colleague with us today, Gracie, has flyers if anybody would like to take one, but you can also access that survey link from our website. We would love if all of you could participate, tell all your constituents to participate. The more feedback we hear, the better. We really want the future of the library to be shaped by everyone's voices. So that's very important. If you can help us spread the word, we would really appreciate it. We're also hosting 5 focus groups across our service area, including one recently happened at the Marysville Library. If you want to learn more about the Snow Owl Library's levy coming on August 4th, you can visit our website. By design, library funding is revisited every several years. So deciding whether to restore the library levy is just part of our natural life cycle of library funding, and it's time to ask again. The last time library voters restored the levy was in 2018. Every year, the funding the library receives is only allowed to grow by 1% over the previous year. So this cap keeps property taxes stable and predictable. So even when our property taxes values increase rapidly, the funding that Snow Owl receives can only grow 1% each year. And a lot has changed in our community since 2018. We had 7.6 million items checked out in 2018, and in 2025, that number grew to 10.8 million. We had 2.2 million Wi-Fi sessions in 2018, and in 2025, that was 2.8 million. In 2019, there were 300,000 pages printed at our libraries, and in 2025, that had grown to 1.3 million pages printed. Since 2018, Snow Owl Libraries has carefully managed our budget to serve our communities, and as costs and use have increased, our budget can no longer keep up. The 2018 library levy is now at the end of its life. It's time for us to ask our communities to decide what the future of library services look like. And those are my updates. I'll hand the rest over to Eric Spencer, our Marysville Library Manager.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for having us here tonight. Along with key partners such as the city's own Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department, Marysville Public Schools, the Tulalip Tribes, and our local Boys and Girls Clubs, I know that our library stands as one of the primary anchors for civic life in Marysville. We're incredibly blessed to have such a large, beautiful building. Although the facility is now over 30 years old, I continue to marvel at the visionary foresight that the City Council had back then to construct such a remarkable space. It was built to last, and it's sure to continue to serve for decades to come. A big part of the story of our library is that because of its generous layout, a wide range of activities can happen simultaneously under its roof. On any given day, you can find a bustling children's program running in the large meeting room, local civic groups hosting discussions in the smaller meeting room, children's and families exploring the children's area, and others deeply focused in computers and quiet study areas. Simply put, our library continues to be incredibly busy meeting the diverse daily needs of our citizens. It is often characterized by beautiful dualities. We host times of quiet, serene reflection alongside moments of highly dynamic, bustling family life and public traffic. In 2025 at our building, we had over 192,000 visits. This consistent flow proves that physical civic spaces are as relevant today as they've ever been. But our impact goes beyond foot traffic. It's about providing practical financial support to our families. The library acts as a shared community resource, giving our residents smart economic choices about what they need to purchase personally versus what they can access collaboratively. Again, in 2025, our community checked out approximately 270,000 physical items. That represents significant direct cost savings to local families who choose to share books and media rather than buying them outright. Furthermore, every month, we host over 2,800 personal computing sessions alongside open high-speed Wi-Fi access. In an increasingly digital world, this choice allows students to do their homework and residents to seek employment without the heavy financial burden of a private internet bill. We also know that so much of our lives are dependent now on our phones and devices, and that gives us plenty of opportunities for community members to receive help from professional librarians and other staff to navigate today's challenges. And we see this pattern of sharing in other popular high-demand services as well. Our talented staff brings the library to life by presenting about 10 free programs each week. These aren't just events, but critical social foundations. They include early literacy story times specifically crafted for babies, toddlers, and preschoolers, drop-in STEM-related sessions for our school-age kids, and featured adult programming centered on art, wellness, and lifelong learning. Second, we address a very practical, everyday household expense, home printing and copying. Many people know this, but not everybody does, that the library provides each card holder with $7 of free printing and copying credit every week. That small, simple service translates to over 11,000 processed print jobs every month, saving our citizens the frustrating ongoing costs of purchasing ink and paper and maintaining a home printer that they may only use occasionally. Finally, the library offers meeting rooms completely free of charge to community groups. Any adult with a library card can easily make a reservation, turning our buildings into grassroots incubator where local nonprofits and study groups and neighborhood associations can gather, organize, and thrive. As you can see, the library supports the community in many ways and remains as vital and deeply relevant today as ever. For me, it continues to be an honor to serve this community in this way. Please, if you haven't been to the library recently, come see what's happening. That's the end of my prepared remarks tonight. If you have any questions, Lindsay and I'd be happy to answer some of those if you'd like.
Thank you both for the update. Any questions? Councilmember Perkins.
I have, I use the library quite a bit. I take my fifth graders there on a spring or a fall field trip every year, as close to the beginning of the school year as I can, just to introduce them to the space and to the resources. Particularly, I want them to meet some of the staff because they're a great resource for young people. And on my supply list each year, I place a Marysville library card as a request for parents to, send them to school with one of those in place. The online services, the databases, the homework helps, all of that is excellent. And it's just a fantastic space for kids to be able to search without, digging through all of the advertisements and, other sort of material that they have to get to. Also just finding age-appropriate research. And so please, whatever you do, keep those resources available and just the opportunities for kids to come in, classes to come in and get familiar in that way.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just in there last week, I think, getting a book, and it looks fantastic. Well used. We know how much traffic goes through there, so we appreciate you guys' work.
You bet.
There are no further questions then. Thank you, and
Thank you.
look forward to seeing you in the near future. And
Thanks a lot.
appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you.
The other presentation, Chief Scarpin will be up here kicking off multiple oaths of office that we're looking forward to tonight.
Mayor, Council, thank you. Chief Scarpin, Marysville Police Department. It's my honor and privilege to stand before you tonight and help the mayor swear in 5 of our new employees. We have three police officers tonight and 2 custody officers. All have recently graduated from the Basic Law Enforcement Academy, both for police and corrections. So Mayor, if you would come forward, and I'd like to call Officer Cody Barnes up first. So Officer Barnes was born in Hanford, California. He grew up in Chowchilla, California. When he was growing up, he knew that he wanted to have a career in law enforcement due to most of his family working at a California state prison. At the age of 19, he decided instead of waiting 2 years to start his law enforcement career, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy, and he became a Master of Arms there. During his military time, he was stationed in Texas and at Naval Base Kitsap Bangor, located in Silverdale, Washington. He was in the Navy for 4 years and honorably discharged at the rank of E5. He currently lives in Marysville, and he's excited to serve and be part of our community. Mayor, if you'd come forward and do the honors.
It's an honor to give you the oath of office tonight. If you would, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Cody Barnes,
I, Cody Barnes,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the laws of the state of Washington,
the laws of the state of Washington,
and the ordinances of the city of Marysville,
and the ordinances of the city of Marysville.
and that I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
perform the duties of police officer
perform the duties of police officer
for the city of Marysville
for the city of Marysville
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, officer. Who would you like to have at your bench?
That would be my grandma, Grandma Bonnie.
Excellent. Grandma Bonnie, come on up.
You have your she does. She's good.
All right. Next up, Mayor, is going to be Officer Paula Medina. So Officer Medina recently graduated with her bachelor's in science in criminal justice and psychology from Seattle University. While studying, she worked as a part-time police cadet at the Lumen Police Department, where she recognized her passion for law enforcement and her dream to work at the Marysville Police Department. I might have added that part. On her free time, Officer Medina loves to work out, read, draw, and spend time with friends and family. She's passionate about serving the community and providing a voice for those who need one. Officer Medina is determined and excited to be working at the Marysville Police Department. If you would, Mayor.
Equally an honor to swear you in this evening. If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Paula Medina,
I, Paula Medina,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the laws of the state of Washington,
the laws of the state of Washington,
and the ordinances of the city of Marysville,
and the ordinances of the city of Marysville,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
perform the duties of police officer
perform the duties of the police officer
for the city of Marysville
for the city of Marysville
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, officer.
Mom and Dad, come on up. Thank you so much. No problem. All right, next up, originally from Miami, Florida, and of Colombian descent, Officer Alejandro Zapata, if you would come forward. He moved to Washington 3 years ago with his wife, Lori. Officer Zapata is a 7-year Army veteran, during which he served as a M1A1 tank commander. He has a bachelor's in computer science from the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, where he used to create advertising for car dealerships for 10 years. He decided to pursue a career in law enforcement because he felt the need to work in a fulfilling career where he could serve and be part of the community. He enjoys reading, camping when possible, and spending time with his wife and 3 children. Mayor, if you would.
Fantastic to be able to swear you in as well. If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Alejandro Zapata,
I, Alejandro Zapata,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the laws of the state of Washington,
the laws of the state of Washington,
and the ordinances of the city of Marysville,
the ordinances of the city of Marysville,
and that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
perform the duties of police officer
perform the duties of police officer
for the city of Marysville
for the city of Marysville
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Lori, if you'd come forward. Wife will be pinning his badge.
Try not to purposely stab him.
Mayor and Council, next up will be our custody officers. I'd like to call for Custody Officer Gideon Malyachiski. He grew up in the small town of Camas, Washington, where he's supported by his parents, Gary and Mary. He was raised alongside 3 older brothers, an older sister, and a younger sister. Growing up, he was actively involved in sports. He played baseball and wrestling through high school, and his baseball team advanced to the World Series, where he was a starting pitcher and a leadoff hitter. Is that Little League World Series? Babe Ruth. All right, right on. Excellent. His wrestling career also flourished, culminating in a state championship during his junior year of high school. He attributes his success to his strong foundation and his family. And they've remained a constant source of support and encouragement throughout his life. He enjoys the outdoors, athletics, serving his community, and above all, helping others. From the beginning of his freshman year of high school, he knew that he wanted to pursue a career in law enforcement. The opportunity to serve others, protect the community, and embrace an active and challenging profession inspired him from an early age. His passion for helping those in need has remained the driving force behind his commitment to public service. He wants to express gratitude to the Marysville Police Department for providing him the opportunity to serve this outstanding community. He's honored by the trust placed in him and looks forward to continuing to serve and protect the citizens of Marysville. Mayor, if you would.
For you in this evening, thank you, and please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Gideon Malyachiski,
I, Gideon Malyachiski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the laws of the state of Washington,
the laws of the state of Washington,
and the ordinances of the city of Marysville,
and the ordinances of the city of Marysville,
and that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
perform the duties of custody officer
perform the duties of custody officer
for the city of Marysville
for the city of Marysville
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Welcome.
We got to pin your badge first. Next up, a very off-duty Commander Jones is going to pin his badge. He was excited for the handshake, yes. All right, and last, custody officer Chen Zhang. Officer Zhang was born in Kirkland, Washington, raised in Lake Stevens. As a kid, he was heavily influenced by his family to join law enforcement. He has uncles who have worked in different fields of law enforcement, and they inspired him to follow in their footsteps. When COVID-19 hit, Chen used that time to make a change. He joined the United States Army as an infantryman. He was then sent to Fort Benning, Georgia for basic training and completed 6 months of basic training. He got orders to go to Fort Wainwright, Alaska, where he served for 4 years as an infantryman there. After serving his time with the Army, he came back and talked over his career options with his uncles. One of them was our officer, Billy Zhang, who just recently retired from the Marysville Police Department. Billy told Chen to apply and give us a chance, and that he wouldn't be sad with that choice. He's now had the opportunity to join us as a custody officer and looks forward to serving in that capacity. Mayor, if you would.
Exciting to have you join our team as well. Would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Chen Shang,
I, Chen Zhang,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the laws of the state of Washington,
the laws of the state of Washington,
and the ordinances of the city of Marysville,
and the ordinances of the city of Marysville,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
perform the duties
perform the duties
of custody officer for the city of Marysville. Of custody officer for the city of Marysville,
of custody officer of the city of Marysville,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
And pinning his badge.
Remember Brother Collins.
All right, brother. Like a pro. Nice. So Mayor and Council, thank you so much for that. It's always a pleasure to welcome new members to our department. We have other members who are waiting to go to the academy, the Northwest Regional Academy in Arlington, which starts in August, and we're always hiring. So we still have open both police and custody positions. Thank you so much. I'm going to excuse myself with my team. We'll take a few photos and then I'll be back.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Congratulations to all of you who received the oath of office tonight, and we're excited to have you on the team. And thanks to all who came to support them as well. We set aside this portion of the meeting. I'll give it a minute to. We set aside this portion of the meeting to allow for public comment. And anybody who wishes to comment, we do take those who have signed up prior. If you came here intending to offer public comment and wish to sign in, you still got a few minutes to grab one of those sheets, sign in, and just hand it up maybe to Councilmember Norton there. And we will start. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Well, my mistake, we haven't approved the agenda yet, so thank you, Councilmember James. Open the floor for a motion to approve today's agenda. Thank you. Motion by Councilmember James and seconded by Councilmember Perkins. Anybody, any final discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Councilmember James. And now we'll move to public comment. And the first one who signed in, Mr. Joe Beck, and you have up to 3 minutes. Thank you for coming tonight.
Again, bear with me, please, if you don't mind.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Good evening. Again, for the record, my name is Joe Beck. I live at 2203 172nd Street Northeast. That's Marysville 98271. Before I begin, last week when I testified before you folks, it became a bit contentious, and for that, I apologize. I hope you can sincerely accept my apology. With that being said, I'd like to speak to you about perhaps a letter that you've received. Have you received
Yes.
that, Mr. Mayor?
I've received it, and the council members have as well.
Okay, super, great. I'll speak to that if you don't mind, please.
Sure.
First and foremost, we are grateful that you have listened to us regarding the concerns that we have about data centers. We'd like to suggest that an ordinance be considered by the body that specifically would ban all data centers within the confines, within the city limits of Marysville, except those classified as MDF, which is main distribution frame, and/or IDF, which is intermittent distribution frame. Frames or electrical centers that basically are used in your police department, the city's police department, or other smaller entities within the confines of City Hall. That should be, those particular definitions should be clearly identified within the ordinance itself, please. They could include a cap or limit on electrical power that both of those servers can use and still be excluded from the data center ban. With the rapid growth of data centers throughout our country, it is extremely important that you construct wording in the ordinance in an exact manner that seals the door shut on prohibiting medium and large-sized data centers in Marysville. We urge you to act quickly to pass this ordinance to prevent developers such as Panattoni from submitting plans for Amazon's Project Cascade operation facility prior to the ordinance banning centers being passed and thereby being vested and allowed under your current zoning codes. If that happens, I'm afraid that the community would be the best way to put it would be have a sense of incredulousness towards the council itself. There are other people that are not here tonight that were active in getting the ordinance passed in Arlington who wanted to be here this evening, but they had other conflicts, that would come before you and ask that a ban, if it weren't passed, they would be sitting in this room and screaming and hollering, and that's not a good thing ever. Okay? So, as you well know. We're also wondering if the zoning guidelines in the Cascade Industrial Center would allow a company to build and operate a plant that could produce electricity by burning fossil fuels, natural gas, diesel, coal, or by using nuclear power, fusion, or geothermal energy. If the current guidelines would allow such a plant, would a change in these zoning laws be possible? Again, we thank you for your time and consideration. We're happy to meet with you again and talk this out further. We do know that, I do know that the agenda, number 15, has the acceptance of the proposed industrial center, Cascade Industrial Center, being accepted by you, Mr. Mayor, this evening. I don't know.
Not by me. That's a council decision, but yeah.
Right. Okay. So if you would add these comments into that, I'd appreciate that a great deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay.
The second, Connie Jackson.
Are both working?
I believe both are working. Is that right, Stefan? Yeah.
Yep. Great. Firstly, I'd like to echo the concerns of Mr. Joe Beck and all others in attendance here that want to speak on it. I do hope the city does pass an ordinance banning data centers as Councilman Richards has suggested in the past. I'd also invite Director Laycock and Attorney Walker, I don't know where he went off to, as I will be touching on both engineering and legal matters tonight. For a bit of context, after the Strawberry Festival, I decided I'd be a responsible citizen and walk along the parade route, picking up any litter I could find. And I quickly found out that there is a stretch of road or stretch on the side of the road that is very often used that does not have a sidewalk. Specifically, the half-mile stretch between 88th Street and 80th Avenue, where Cedar just kind of turns a bit. Now, forgive me if I'm being redundant by bringing this up. I do hope the council has approved something for this area before. How I couldn't find anything. This area is very often used by pedestrians. By our estimates, probably at least 100 a day on peak hours. In fact, I went out there and sat down for a few hours and surveyed as many pedestrians as I could find. and asking them. About 85% of them did want a sidewalk to be put in there if the council were to approve it. Now, there are some issues. First of all, obviously the cost. A similar project I could find in recent times, I know inflation's been messing with construction costs, is the Safe Routes to School project, which for a somewhat similar area was a hair under $700,000, which for what I'm about to explain will probably push up to a little bit over $1 million. Of course, that would be in Director Laycock's ballpark. The main issues are there are 17 PUD light poles that are in the way of the 10-foot buffer that is usually required for sidewalks. There are 2 private driveways that the sidewalk would go over, and there's 1 community transit stop, which is more or less just a sign on the side of the road. So that wouldn't be too much of an issue. One issue that a lot of people had brought up was the possibility of it messing with the right-of-way that the BNSF Railway has in that area. We tried to measure it. We don't know if we did it correctly, but we think that a 10-foot buffer that the city usually uses for its sidewalks would not cross over into that. However, we could be wrong. Even if we are, Union River Boom Company v. Samish River Boom Company, a Washington State Supreme Court case from 1903, last upheld in 2017, does set the precedent that for the exact situations such as these, municipalities can overrule that right-of-way if there is deemed to be enough of a public need for infrastructure such as a sidewalk. So I'd like to ask the council and mayor to consider it as soon as they can, and personally, I will grab a shovel and a bag of concrete and help if you do approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I did have a PowerPoint I was going to bring tonight. Unfortunately, I couldn't show it. I will be giving it to the city clerk, who will be sending it out to you sometime soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. David Russell.
David Russell, 98270. Just wanted to say thank you for the city for cooperating with the Strawberry Committee to put on another great festival this year. The parade, the market, all of it, it was a great time, and I'm glad that both the committee and the city itself could do such a good event for all the people within. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. It is nice to hear that. Did I miss anybody who intended to speak and handed anything in? All right, we didn't have anybody sign up online, so we will close that portion of the meeting and move on then, council, to the approval of minutes for June 8th. Does anybody have any changes or corrections to those minutes? If not, we'll open the floor for any potential motion. Councilmember Perkins.
I move to approve the June 8th minutes.
Great. We have a motion by Councilmember Perkins, seconded by Councilmember James to approve these minutes. Any final discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. Your consent agenda has, I believe, 4 items. Does anybody wish to pull any of those for further discussion? If not, we'll open the floor for any potential motion on consent in its entirety. Councilmember Candelius.
I'll
and
move
then
to approve
Richards.
consent items 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Candelius, seconded by Councilmember Richards to approve consent. Any final discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody abstain? Consent is passed. Thank you. Director Laycock, review of bids, item number 8 for Marysville Middle.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Jeff Laycock, Engineering Services Director. We had bid opening for our Marysville Middle School, AKA now Liberty Elementary School Safe Routes to School project. As you recall, because you just approved the construction grant agreement with WashDOT. This project is on 49th Drive, just south of Grove Street Elementary, into the entryway into the school. Project is proposing to construct a 10-foot wide sidewalk, concrete sidewalk with a buffer for landscape and stormwater, as well as some other improvements associated with the project along that to provide a safe pedestrian route for the students, as well as other pedestrians entering into the area. We advertised beginning on May 26, following obligation of the funds by WashDOT to proceed, and bid open was on June 9th. We had 8 bids, so good bidder turnout. The low bid came in at $325,973.75. That was North End Excavating. They've done work for us in the past. It's been a little while, but do good work. We expect nonetheless on this project. That came in quite a bit underneath the engineer's estimate, nearly $100,000. So we're asking for a 10% management reserve. As you can see there, the grant agreement that we executed with WashDOT for the Safe Routes to School program is basically absorb that cost plus any management reserve if we do happen to tap into that for any reason. So just worthy note that the design was also fully funded by the grant. It was in-house design, and then pretty much the only cost to the city here will be the time for us to manage the project, which again will be done in-house for construction inspection and project oversight. Estimated schedule, as soon as we get authorization here, we'll hopefully get a contract executed pretty quickly because I know the contractor wants to get started. Hopefully pre-con next week and be breaking ground as early as after the 4th. There's 40 working days in this contract, so tallying that up will take you to August 28th, which will be just right in time before school starts on the 3rd. If we do happen to go into that school period, there are contract provisions where there would be limited working hours during construction activity. But as you all imagine, I'm sure the contractor would like, he would like to be out of there before the students return. So with that, we just be asking for this recommendation.
Thank you. Council, any questions on item 8? Councilmember Candace? Oh, sorry, that must have been from last time. Councilmember Richards.
Yeah, I know that you talked to the contractor and he's got the 40 days. Is he also factored in that the school might have like back to school day, one of those days that might affect his working? I mean, are they going to work with the school to make sure that?
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure of those. We've been pretty much in coordination with the school just because we are impacting that entrance. So if there's something like that that does come up for those early days, we'll work with the school on that. So I'll make note of that too, so we're aware of that.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, we'll open the floor for any potential motion. Councilmember Richards.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign and execute the Marysville Middle School 49th Drive Northeast South to Grove Street Safe Routes to School project contract with North End Excavating, Inc. in the amount of $325,973.75, including sales tax, and approve a management reserve of $32,597.38 for a total allocation of $358,571.13.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Richards, seconded by Councilmember Norton. Any final discussion on this motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 9, Director Laycock.
Yeah, yep. No accompanying presentation with this one, but HDR Engineering is our design consultant for the 88th Street Corridor project. This is supplement number 8, which is a time extension only to get us through the end of the year, but essentially their contract does expire at the end of this month. We are anxiously waiting to get the project out to bid. Need to carry them for that service during bid and ultimately through award. We're also working with this consultant since we did advertise and select them based on not only their design, but their construction, management, inspection, support services. So we've been in the works to negotiate a scope and fee for that service to provide, again, construction management and inspection. So we'll be taking that forward at the same time. We recommend an award for construction. So.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions on this one? Open the floor for any potential motion. Councilmember Perkins.
Yeah, I move to authorize the mayor to sign and execute supplemental agreement number 8 to the professional services agreement with HDR Engineering for the 88th Street Northeast Corridor Improvement Project.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Perkins, seconded by Councilmember Richards. Any final discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Next one would be, thank you, Director Laycock. Next one is Director Berlantis, and it would be Resolution 2585. 2585.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Today, the action before you is a resolution authorizing the implementation of a fee on credit and debit card transactions, as well as e-check transactions. The city currently accepts electronic payments for a variety of services, which you will see here. This includes our utility payments, community development fees, our parks and recreation programs, the golf course, boat launch, as well as our electrical vehicle charging stations. While these payments offer convenience and efficiency for our customers, they also carry processing fees that have been absorbed by the city historically. At present, the city absorbs more than $41,000 monthly on average on these processing costs with the usage of credit, debit, and e-check payments. And as well as the volume of these transactions do tend to grow year over year because of that convenience. So the $41,000 monthly average is viewed by taking our collections from January 2025 through March of 2026. The total annual for that is about $608,000. So this resolution represents a shift away from the city absorbing these fees. Approval will allow finance to begin working with banking institutions and our third-party payment processors to implement the necessary changes. Fee amounts will be determined individually for each payment provider based on the average annual processing cost. So there are different payment processors that are used and their fees do vary. Fees will then be reviewed and adjusted annually to ensure that we continue our cost recovery. What you see here are there are two options that we can recover our cost. The first option is when the processor collects the fee at the time of the transaction. If the processor is unable to do so, then our second option would be to impose a city-collected service fee, which would then be remitted to the payment processor. That's all I have for
Great.
today. Yes.
Council, any questions on this item? Councilmember James.
608,000 annually is what does it refer to again? Is that all of the charges that come in through debit and everything? That's the amount that comes in?
That's correct.
Okay. And then sounds like you're using various vendors. What percentage are we being charged for that amount?
Sure. The transaction fee does vary by 0.97% to 9.96%, depending on the vendor. 9.96% might sound daunting, but that is on a very small transaction amount related to the vehicle charging stations.
I was going to say that's pretty high.
Yes. Where we incur the most cost is within utility billing and community development fees. The transaction is high, but so is the volume.
Okay. And then, what was I going to say? Went right out of my head. Anybody else have questions while I gather my thoughts?
Councilmember Richards.
Yeah, I've got a couple here. If I remember them, we'll see if I do. Are we negotiating with the banks over these fees? I mean, because we do a lot of volume. Is there a discount that we get because we're doing the volume we're doing, or do we have any power in negotiating with the banks saying we're not going to pay that? We want less fees?
Each of our payment processors, we actually have independent contracts with each of them. So we'll have to go back and negotiate any adjustments if there were any changes to the rates themselves.
Okay. And my other question is the fee that we pay for the check or for the bank cards, is it if a person gives you a check, there's no fee. But the handling of that check, how much does that cost us?
Sure.
Is it cost us more to handle the check and do that versus the money that it's costing us to deal with the banks?
If we do receive a manual check through the mail or the front counter, then a fee wouldn't be associated with that. However, with credit and debit card, folks can also use their routing number and account number, which would then mimic an e-check or an electronic check, which would be subject to a fee.
So if they use an e-check, they're subject to the fee. Okay, so I guess my ultimate question is, what does it cost us to actually process a check? How much labor intense is it that somebody gives you a check? And I'm gonna rethink my paying my water bill. If you're charging me to do it automatically, I'll send you a check, even though it cost me a stamp, just out of spite.
Well, and that's the truth, right? The convenience, especially with these, it does come at a cost. But we are required also to communicate that there are other methods of paying that doesn't include a processing fee, which would be in-person, cash, or check.
Councilmember Norton.
Yeah, my question had to do with the e-check. I know, at least it used to be the last time I paid something with the county and with the state as well. The e-check was always offered with no fee. I'm curious is that fee a lesser fee than what you would incur with the credit and debit cards?
Yes, it also depends on the payment processor with the rates, but I will say just from reviewing the statements that even the type of bank card, whether that be Visa, MasterCard, would also tie to a different rate. But the e-check, from what I've seen, has been less than an actual card payment.
Okay. Do you know what sorry, I know I'm just throwing this at you, so it's okay if you don't know the answer. I'm just curious what percentage of payments are done by e-check?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can get that information to you.
Yeah, I was just curious about, and for those of you who aren't on the Finance Committee, we talked about this in the Finance Committee and brought it up there. I guess I was just wondering if there's any appetite to allow that e-check like the state does that doesn't have a fee. I just don't know how much we're incurring on that. And so, but I do think it's important that we recoup the costs of these. I think it's something that's a lot of cities and municipalities and companies, businesses that are all doing. And as these fees continue to go up, I think it's important to be responsible to cover those, so.
Some payment processors don't charge for e-check transactions, but because some of them do, and really the purpose of this is cost recovery, we felt it appropriate to include it within the resolution itself.
Go ahead. Yeah, Councilmember James, and then Councilmember Cadillas after that.
I was going to mention and ask questions about the e-check and the definition of that, make sure that we're on the same page. And I think I got the gist of what you were saying, but I want to make sure, again, just be clear. It sounds like different processors might charge you for giving them a check where others won't. And I think we're used to not being charged when we sign up for our services anywhere else, that you can actually go online and put your bank routing and account number. It just directly debits the bank. There's no middleman, just boom, it's straight through, no charge, and that's kind of what people are used to. That's what kind of piqued my interest of why are we charging for that? There's no recovery cost included in that. And if I came and gave you cash or a check, you'd have to physically take that somewhere or mail it somewhere. That might even actually have a cost associated. I think that's what Councilman Richards was trying to get at. What is the city's cost to handle paper either as cash or as a check and take it to a bank? I mean, are we talking about recovering the cost of the person's time to do that? Because, I mean, I don't know, the banks wouldn't charge for that.
Oh, sure. The cash in, as well as the manual checks that are received at the front counter, Yes, so those are received by the utility billing staff. We do have Loomis, a courier, who does pick up the deposits. And that is not inclusive of these transaction fees that are part of the resolution.
So the Loomis charge to move that money is what we're trying to recoup.
Yes, Loomis,
Okay.
no, that would be separate from this resolution. What I'm saying is, for any in-person receipts, we do have a courier, Loomis, who's basically taking our deposits from our receiving locations and moving those toward depositing in the bank.
But we're not recovered, that's not in this recovery.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do come into play, and there are costs apparently, even still.
Mayor, if I
Yeah.
can
Oh,
help
yeah, go ahead.
a little bit with background and next steps with this too. For our staff time, that is, we recoup that cost for the staff time in processing paper checks. For example, in the utility, it would be built into the utility rate as part of our operating expense.
Right.
So it's built into the rates that we're charging the customers. The credit card fees, as those are working right now, we have some customers that choose to use credit cards or debit cards to process those transactions. Those aren't built into our operating costs that get built into the rates that all customers pay. And so what this resolution would allow is that customers who choose to do that want the convenience of that payment, then they're paying the cost of that. Otherwise, without doing that, we could build it into our operating costs, and then all the customers are paying the cost of those credit card processing fees. But as it stands right now, those exist outside of cost recovery for the city. So the fund balance is paying for it, whether that's the general fund balance or the utility fund balance. And so it's a city cost that's coming out of our fund balances. Relative to your questions on recovery of costs and trying to get the best rates for both the city as well as our residents, our intent would be, if council moves forward with this, our intent is to issue an RFP and go through a process of identifying as much as possible a competitive single processor for all of our credit cards. Now, some of our credit card and debit card systems, they're built into the electronic system itself, and so we have to use that electronic system. An example of that would be our court payments. The court uses the state processing system for payments and for case management. That system builds in cost recovery for credit cards and debit cards, and we don't have a choice but to use that system. For other things like payment processing moving forward for utilities, our community development area, and some of the others, our intent would be to go out with an RFP and find the most competitive processor, and hopefully find one of those where e-checks, there isn't an associated cost for processing those.
Okay, so this resolution would not necessarily add that charge unless we happen to be using that vendor that does charge, then they would be charged. But that's just going to be a hit and miss as we go through collections, right? So the person writing the check will know when they're writing the check that there's an extra fee.
Correct. So there would typically, you'd do an
Like, here's your
announcement,
bill
there's a 3% additional fee, for example, on the credit cards.
Separate line item for, yeah, credit cards are a given, and we all accept that. That's a convenience we know we're going to pay for. Checks, on the other hand, are kind of always been their own little,
Correct.
Safe space
Yep.
for no extra fees. And
This
so,
gives
I
us
keep
the ability to start getting the plans in place, working with the companies to establish these fees while simultaneously, so we're recovering those because it'll be a separate charge, and to work on the RFP and get that in place. We won't be immediately instituting these fees tomorrow. This is going to take us a little bit of time operationally to implement.
It is a significant budget hit, though. Right now, everybody's subsidizing those who want to use credit cards to the tune of
Yeah,
several hundred thousand.
I just wish this was more just focused on the credit card, debit card fees and leave the checks and cash out of it. personally, that's what I would like to see, that delineation, if that's possible.
Councilmember Norton.
I don't know if Councilmember James is confused. There is no additional fee on
Yeah.
someone writing a check or cash. This is just for people using a
Yeah.
credit card, debit card, or e-check. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
There's no issue for somebody writing a check or bringing cash in.
Not right now, but it sounds like there's gonna be, depending on the vendor.
No.
No,
No.
this will be just
Credit
on,
cards.
this will be just on credit cards, debit cards, and if there is an associated cost for an electronic check.
An e-check, not like if you mail a check.
Okay. E-checks are like, I do the work, I put in my own information, and it just is automatic, nobody touches it. It just goes right through, there's no cost to recover.
I think it depends what mechanism that you're using. So we don't have a charge if you are doing like a bill payment for
Through your
an
bank,
e-check
yeah.
through your bank.
Yeah.
It's different if you've gone through the processor and you either choose to put in a credit card number, you put in all of your banking information, and that third party is processing it that way. But there's no charge when you are doing like a bill pay from your banking service. That gets treated just like a check, a hand check.
So the e-check won't get that charge if it's direct.
That's correct.
I thought they were all direct, so.
You can have, and through some of our payment platforms, rather than entering your debit or credit card information, you could enter your direct bank account information, but you're doing it through that third-party processor as opposed to your bank. And some of them have costs associated with processing those.
If you do it through your bank, like I do it through my bank, that doesn't hit you for anything, yeah.
No.
Councilmember Richards.
You say it doesn't hit you, but according to this resolution, there's the possibility of e-checks might cost us money, just the way the resolution is written. And there's also the factor that you say that checks are absorbed. The cost of checks are already absorbed in our bill. Well, I think the e-check should be absorbed as well, because that can't be that much. It's got to be less for an e-check versus me physically mailing a check and somebody having to open the envelope and go through all the process. I know that there's a cost there. I don't think that Loomis is free to come pick up the stuff. There's a cost there. It's got to be less for an e-check, even if there is a fee from the bank, versus the cost of physically getting a check and going through the process of all that handles, even though it's factored in. I mean, I think the e-check should at least be factored in as well, because that's still cheaper.
Mayor, if I may, if the council desired, the majority of our fees are related to
Debit and
credit
credit,
card
yeah.
processing. If the council chose to amend the resolution
Yeah, that
to
would work.
remove e-check, the majority of the costs that Heidi stated would be related to credit card and/or debit card transactions.
No, I agree. That's, I think, what we are most concerned about, yeah. So if that makes you feel. Sorry, Peter, yeah, go
Who wants
ahead.
to say something? So, can I just clarify something here? There are some e-checks have fees. Is that what I'm hearing? Correct?
That's
To
correct.
process some e-checks, there are fees, like if I were to put in my credit card, correct? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if, depending on who I'm using for the e-check, there will be a fee on that e-check in some cases, correct?
That's correct. And not every payment processor has an e-check fee.
Correct. So, but there are some cases where if I put in an e-check, there isn't a fee. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, do you know, I mean, and I should preface this, we've talked a lot about this in Finance Committee already. So there's, we've had some good conversations and the e-check stuff hasn't come up. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. Do you know off the top of your head what percentage of the e-check processing has an associated fee?
I do know that the Elevon is what I was looking at.
Okay.
So that's for our community development fees.
Okay, which is a substantial amount. Okay, because I would be very hesitant to exempt all e-checks if we're getting a fee for certain e-checks. That being said, I also understand that this is getting kind of confusing. It's different than, this is just, you're the experts on this, I'm not, but what it sounds like is it's more confusing than just Visa, MasterCard, American Express, right? So I would be fine if there was work done to see if there was a way to differentiate between e-checks that are going to have a fee versus not have a fee, as opposed to a blanket, we're not going to put a fee on e-checks. And the other point I wanted to make was with the discussion of the Loomis truck. Loomis truck, we're already paying for them to come, right? And they don't charge us more if we have 10 checks or 100 checks?
No, it's basically a contract for professional services to pick up our deposit.
But it
bags.
doesn't matter if we have 10 checks or 100 checks. They
No.
charge us the same amount.
Right. It's
Okay.
more so based on location.
Yeah, okay. So they're coming already. We're paying them to come already. Okay. And the last thing I'll say on this is we, 3-4 years ago, we talked about this with permit fees. And permit fees are a substantial amount. And at the time, I shuddered at the idea of passing these fees on to a utility billing customer or something, because I thought that's not right. But then I saw the number, and $600,000 a year, that is a substantial number. And when we're looking at things we can do to cut costs, to save, raising taxes or doing other things, this seems like a no-brainer to me. And it seems like a responsible thing for us to do. So I'm all in favor of it. If we need to take time and we need to do some more research on this, especially as it relates to the e-check thing, I'm totally good with that. But I would like to see us recoup as much of our costs as we absolutely can. Thank you.
Councilmember James.
Okay, that just calls for clarification. This $608,000 is not the fees that we're paying. It's the amount of money we're taking in through the credit.
That's the cumulative total of fees.
That's what I was asking you the first time. Okay, so, that's the fees that we're paying. And the majority, the lion's share of that is credit cards.
And debit cards, yeah.
And credit and debit cards, not e-checks. And obviously, there is no fee on cash and regular checks. That's what we're trying to say. And e-checks, depending on the vendor. I just don't like doing the blanket no fee charge for e-check. I don't like doing a blanket fee charge for the e-check. If it is a fee, yeah, we should recoup it. I mean, that's taxpayer money. We should be careful with that. We don't just want to give that away, right? So I don't know if there's a way to differentiate. When you happen to choose the vendor that's going to charge for that service, then we need to, at that point, charge. But when they stop and we go to a different vendor, do we have a system that's that flexible that we can charge, not charge over time? And just depending on if it costs the city, then we pass that through. It's just a simple pass-through. We don't want to start charging people if we're using a vendor that isn't charging that fee. I don't want to pay the fee. You know what I mean? That isn't fair either, so.
This resolution provides for the finance director to ensure we're passing along a fee that's the actual fee that we're incurring to recover those. Again, a next step would be to do an RFP and look where we can consolidate our credit card processors, and included with that would be a third-party e-check processing, if you're doing it outside of your bank, to ensure that we are receiving the lowest charges, we're passing along the lowest charges possible to our residents.
Okay, and this is, what we're proposing is being used, like, I think I saw in Everett, they use the same system, is that right? They have the same kind of an ordinance? This is common, we're not.
Yes, Everett and a variety of other municipalities have similar resolution or ordinances.
Okay.
And we are passing along those fees in some of our platforms where we're using required platforms of other entities. For example, again, our court system, we're using the state's platform and they require passing along the fees to the customer.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Okay.
Councilman Richards?
Yeah, if we amend this resolution and take off e-checks tonight, can we revisit it later when we have a little more information on what the actual costs of e-checks are? Because personally, I'd like to take e-checks out, but if it's that much money, then obviously we need to look at it again. But so can we pass the resolution and then just revisit it later so we can actually at least start with credit card fees?
And debit, yeah. Councilmember Norton?
Yeah, I was just curious, if we pass this resolution, does the policy or the fee schedule come back to us for approval, or does it just give you the authority to just implement it, do the study, implement it, and move forward from there? I'm just curious what happens next. I know you're gonna do the RFP and such, but then does it need to come back to us, or you just implement it however, whatever comes out of that?
Yes, if there were any changes to the contracts, those would most certainly have to come, so long as they are within the policy that would require a council approval, but before mayor's signature. However, I'm happy to come back just to offer some transparency into the process. But really, first and foremost, it's communicating with these vendors and starting with where the most significant costs are. In addition to developing the policy, which would also put some accountability on the finance department to continue to assess the fee so that we do aim for the primary purpose of the resolution, which would be cost recovery.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. And I would just speak in favor of, similar to what Councilmember Candelia said, in just recovering all the costs. So I would speak in favor of not excluding the e-checks from this resolution.
Thank you. So the resolution number before you would be 2585. And if there's no further questions or comments, we'll open the floor for any potential motion. Councilmember Candelius?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2585.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Candelius and Councilmember Perkins with the second. Any final discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
By my count, the measure passed 4-1 with Councilmember Richards voting no. All right, thank you. And that brings us to supplemental agreement number 2 with RH2, and that's Director Johnston.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Eric Johnston, Utilities and Maintenance. So this item and actually the next two are related to each other. These are the contracts we have with RH2. This first one was for water, with RH2 to do our comprehensive planning for the water utility. The council considered a previous amendment to this, I believe in December of this last year, amending it for the first time. We started this contract in 2023. The purpose of this work is to develop the comprehensive planning for the water use system. Ties in with our global comprehensive planning. It sets up a list of projects and the cost to run our utilities for the next many, many years. But we need some more time to get these projects done. And specifically, what we need time to do is go through the public process and for the council to consider the plans and authorize those plans to be submitted to the public agencies, to review the agency comments, and then finalize those plans for final approval and submittal. So the contracts currently extend through June of this year. We're asking to extend those contracts through June of 2027 to allow for that next step to occur. Happy to answer your questions you might have on this first one.
Any questions on this item? Okay. Open the floor for any potential motion. Councilmember Norton.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign and execute supplemental agreement number 2 to the professional services agreement with RH2 for the water system plan update.
Motion from Councilmember Norton, seconded by Councilmember James. Any final discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item.
Same thing as the last item, except now we're dealing with the sewer system. This is the wastewater system. Again, we're asking for the council to consider an amendment here to extend the contract from through June of 2027 for the same reasons as the water system plan.
Do you have any questions on this, council? Open the floor for any potential motion. Councilmember James.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign and execute supplemental agreement number 2, to the professional services agreement with RH2 Engineering Incorporated for the sewer comprehensive plan update.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember James and seconded by Councilmember Norton. Any final discussion here? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. And the final one.
This is the same as the previous two, except this is now for the surface and stormwater utility, and this is with Gray and Osborne. And I believe this is the first amendment to the contract, but also asking that the council authorize to extend that through June of 2027 as well.
Any questions here? Open the floor for any potential motion. Councilmember Candelas.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign and execute supplemental agreement number 1 to the professional services agreement with Gray and Osborne, Inc. for the storm and surface water comprehensive plan update.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Candelas, seconded by Councilmember Richards. Any final discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Administrator Stapleton has the next item, item number 14, and it's our 2026-27 property insurance renewal.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. So good news on our property insurance renewal, and this also includes our cyber and pollution liability insurance as well. Our insurance period is from July 1 to June 30 of each year, so what you have for consideration tonight is the renewal for July 1, 2026 through June 30, 2027. And it's a renewal at $434,251.16, which is a reduction of 4.78% over our premiums this year. So we've gotten fortunate with this renewal, as well as our liability insurance renewal at the beginning of the year, where we're seeing some more competition in the market and have seen favorable premium renewals. So we are asking tonight for your authorization for the mayor to sign this renewal for next year.
Thank you. Councilmember Richards.
Yeah, does this include the new property that we got from the school district, and does that take effect now, or does that wait until we actually get the property the first of the year?
That takes effect now, so the old city hall removed from our insurance and this added on.
Okay,
So,
I just
yes.
wanted to make sure that we were
Yep.
all.
Yes, important.
Yeah. Thank you. Councilmember Candelas.
So I know the last few years when we've had this conversation, it wasn't as happy of a conversation, so it's good to hear. You'd mentioned that it's because of additional competition. So are there more insurers in our market now, or is the insurance industry? Because I know the last few years we've had our insurance folks come in and give a presentation. In the last few years, they've said the insurance industry just as a whole hasn't been great. So have we turned a corner in the industry, or is it just more competition?
We have seen some more competition in the market. We saw that at the beginning of this year when we were renewing liability insurance, and we chose to change our primary insurer in that layer with a new insurer coming into the market. In this particular case, this renewal is not with a new insurer this year versus what we've seen in the past, but we continue to see competition in the market. And the other factor for our city is our claims are very low, and so we see that reflected in our premiums. So we just don't have much of a claims history historically.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any further questions? If not, we'll open the floor for any potential motion. Councilmember Richards.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign and execute the annual property insurance renewal.
Motion by Councilmember Richards, seconded by Councilmember Candelas. Any final discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. And item number 15 is back to Administrator Stapleton. And
Mayor, I'm going to recuse
Director Gamble.
myself for this item.
Thank you. Councilmember Candelas is recusing himself. We'll go in the back room.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll have Director Gemmer with me as well to answer any technical questions that you may have on this item. This item for your consideration is an interlocal agreement between the cities of Marysville and Arlington for the Project Cascade project. We previously briefed council on this. Are you pulling PowerPoint up, Will? We previously briefed council on this in a workshop session, and there are a couple of changes to this agreement based on discussion and feedback that we heard from the council that evening, and I will highlight what this is. To give some background on this again, this is a project that is a proposed distribution facility looking to locate within our Cascade Industrial Center, which is a shared industrial center between cities of Marysville and cities of Arlington. The property that was being considered for this distribution facility is located primarily in the city of Arlington, but the size that they are looking for the production that they do requires a size that would extend the boundary of the facility between the boundary of the city of Arlington and into the boundary of the city of Marysville. The project as proposed does meet zoning requirements of both cities, and it also meets the light industrial definition for the Cascade Industrial Center, which are important factors for both cities for us to consider to ensure that A, we're complying with our zoning, and B, that we're also meeting the requirements for a designated industrial center. The project does cross the jurisdictional boundaries. 87% of the proposed project is within the city of Arlington, leaving 13% of it within the city of Marysville. The city of Arlington approached city of Marysville about a year ago at this time, saying they were considering this project. This is something that the city of Arlington supported in concept, met their priorities for the industrial center, and looking for a way with an extended project, how could that be accomplished considering it's proposed to extend within the boundaries of both cities. We began working on the development of an interlocal agreement to define what that might look like for your consideration. Another option that we had discussed and could be an option would be de-annex the portion of the property from the city of Marysville into the city of Arlington, look at potentially doing a property trade with that. We ended up going the route of an interlocal agreement because what this does give us is the opportunity to have some say, some control over the project, and also to ensure that we recover some of the impact fees associated with the project. So traffic impacts being a fairly significant concern. As proposed, Arlington would provide the water and the sewer to this facility. That would require an amendment to water and sewer boundaries, so that would be a next step. And by way of background, both cities have existing development agreements in place with a prior development partner that was looking at developing property, and so that spells out basis for collection of impact fees, for required traffic improvements, the timing of those improvements, and so the components of those existing development agreements carry forward to the current developer that's proposing this project. The framework that is in the ILA, as Jeff Wilson discussed with you in your workshop session, is about providing a structure for how we would do review, permitting, and inspections for this project across the two cities. What the ILA provides for is Arlington serving as the lead agency for all of the permits. They've got the majority of the project. It also provides for a consolidated process for environmental review, with Arlington serving as the lead agency for processing the SEPA. But it has a component within this ILA that provides for the city of Marysville to make comments and also provide for project mitigation measures and for those to be incorporated into any final documents and permits provided by Arlington. A new component from what you saw the last time in the workshop We did add specifically a component into this ILA that requires the applicant to report their projected water, sewer, and electrical demand. With their former land use application, there was concerns about what those demands might be. Again, this gives us the opportunity to provide comment and any mitigation measures that we may deem appropriate. So this is provided for at the front end and would be a required element. Arlington would serve as the lead agency for permits with the exception of right-of-way permits for work within the city of Marysville, any grading permits within our city limits, and any construction permits for signs, traffic, impact improvements. All of those permits would need to be applied for and approved by Marysville directly. It also provides for the traffic impact analyses, so they are required and have provided a traffic impact analysis. That's typical with a new development project. That would be reviewed by each city and mitigation determined by each city, primarily through the existing development agreements that are in place. But if the traffic impacts would be greater than what was anticipated in those existing development agreements, this would give us the ability to apply any improvements or mitigation fees that would be appropriate for impacts within the city of Marysville. The ILA also provides that any future changes, and there was some discussion and concern about this in the workshop, what if this is built as a distribution facility and then they decide to remodel a portion of this or repurpose this building for another purpose? We added a new provision into the ILA that requires notification if there are any changes of occupancy or use. So City of Arlington, if they became aware of this, they would need to notify Marysville. We would have a seat at the table in terms of impacts, providing comments and any reviews for any proposed occupancy or use changes. There was some discussion about this component and whether that should only apply to the portion within the city of Marysville. We were pretty firm that we would want that to apply to any changes of occupancy or use period, whether in the entire building or whether within a portion of the facility and regardless of the city in which that was to occur. Additional future changes requiring notification include segregation of the building into multiple tenant spaces. So if this single distribution company decided in the future, we're going to have subleasees, we're going to have tenants in this building, or they move along and it was divided up into a multiple tenant building, that would require notification to the city of Marysville, and again, a seat at the table in a review process. Any future tenant improvements, any building or structure remodels, and any future site plan revisions. And so we're still a player at the table for not only what could happen with this initial review, but what could happen on the parcel, regardless of which city it is occurring in, what would happen with that future land use or building use. The agreement does provide for cost recovery. For our review, again, Arlington is first on the permit reviews, but we will also be doing reviews in order to provide our comments and any requests to City of Arlington, and this provides for hourly reimbursement of our time for reviewing any permits. In the case where we would be issuing any permits, like those right-of-way permits, it would be our standard permit fees. In addition, following the workshop session, we also had a discussion with the developer requesting a developer agreement for costs incurred to date to develop this interlocal agreement. We talked about at the last workshop, this has been a substantial amount of staff time from our community development staff to our legal staff to myself, Jeff Wilson, as our consultant who's been specifically assisting with helping with this project so that we recover our costs for the time in developing this interlocal agreement. Ultimately, the interlocal agreement went to the Arlington City Council, who did approve it at their June 15th meeting, and so we're bringing this back forth to the council tonight for your consideration.
Thank you. Councilmember James.
Mayor, before we go any farther, since Councilmember Cornelius left, what is the quorum number that we need to pass this? Because we don't have everybody. Okay,
Attorney Walker.
I just want to make sure that we're aware before we get too far along, so thank you.
So you have a quorum well, with 4 or 5, so it would be 3 votes to pass it.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
my question. What do we need to pass it? Just want to make sure we're, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember James.
Okay, so seat at the table, 50% veto power? Is that what you mean by seat at the table? Or just a voice in the corner?
Well, they need to require, they'll have to comply with our zoning. Any requirements, and Angela, you'll probably ask you to speak to this as well, because you're going to have the best perspective. And again, incorporate our comments and any requirements that we've put in. So we have a seat in the table in terms of what we would require in terms of permit review and approval.
So we would, as City Administrator Stapleton mentioned, we would be reviewing every permit that would be coming across Arlington's desk, would also come across Marysville's desk. So any concerns we had about life safety, use, anything of that nature, we'd have an opportunity to comment on. It would also be enforcing our developer agreement that's already in place with Panattoni. So we would be looking to ensure that there's compliance with parking regulations. We would be commenting on stormwater. We would be commenting on traffic as appropriate. We already, if they keep the scale of the project consistent with what was previously approved, we would not be charging more fees. However, if there was an increase in the trip generation, then we would be charging for that increase in traffic impact fees. So we'd be looking at the architectural design. Arlington actually did defer to us on that. So our design standards for this Moki Point Master Plan would be the ones that would be applying to the building, and we'd be commenting on landscaping. So every aspect, in a nutshell, we would have an opportunity to comment on, and I believe that they will very much be incorporating our feedback. They've been good at coordinating on that and deferring to our codes where there's a conflict. So the more stringent code would typically be applying.
Okay, I'm just wondering if it became unfriendly at some point in the future, we actually have veto power. I mean, yeah, we can review, but they can say, thanks for the review, and keep doing what they're gonna do, you know? Want to make sure that's, yeah.
So the interlocal does include robust provisions for if there's not a meeting of the minds. So it has different, it escalates, I think, from the director level to the city administrator, and then I believe to council. I may be incorrect, and City Attorney John Walker may want to speak to that, but there are escalating provisions where there is not a meeting of the minds as to how to resolve that. It is very well fleshed out, and City Attorney Walker looked at that closely.
Maybe you could speak to that, Attorney Walker. If there was an agreement at the director or city administrator level, what would be the fallback position?
Well, there's, if there is a deadlock, there are some options that a joint committee could be established. It could be referred to a technical expert, and whatever the disagreement is about gets suspended, all that's sorted out. And so, you know, it kind of depends on the nature of the dispute, if you would use a joint committee or a technical expert who would resolve that dispute.
Councilmember Richards.
Yeah, in your presentation, you projected electrical and water use versus, what if their real use is like way more than they're projected? What is the remedy to say, sorry, you can't have any more water, you can't have any more electricity? Is there a shut off, or they just keep using it?
So there's not like a cap on water, sewer, or electrical use. That was primarily put into the agreement to allay the concerns that it might potentially be a data center, which it's a distribution facility, not a data center. And so with respect to water and sewer, it would largely be Arlington's concern because ultimately they're the water and sewer purveyor for the building. That said, there is a provision, I believe, in the agreement that would require them to report a modification. Like if it's a significant modification to the water, sewer, or electrical demand, they're supposed to communicate that to us when that is known. The electrical demand would be, the ability of the public utility district to serve the use, and they would have to, the PUD, they're routed every project, both I think in Arlington and certainly in Marysville, that would have an electrical demand, and they always weigh in as to the ability to accommodate with current electrical facilities or an inability to accommodate if the electrical demand exceeded their current capacity. So there's a reporting provision, and then I think the water and sewer, that's largely going to be Arlington's, responsibility to ensure that they've got sufficient capacity to accommodate this demand.
But there's no fail-safe that if somebody decides, that if they report, I'm only going to use X number of gallons, when in the back of their mind, they know they're going to use more, but they report they're only going to use so much to get the permit, and then suddenly they're using way more than that. Is there any stopgap that the city of Arlington or the city of Marysville can say, sorry, you're using more water than you're allowed to? Do we have any provision on that anywhere?
So I think the onus is for them to report it to us. This is really an extra measure, not something that we would typically have with most buildings. Like if someone constructed a building within Marysville, for example, and their initial demand was, X number of gallons of water or, sewer waste, like if it's a change of occupancy, then we would typically have that mechanism to reevaluate, the water and the sewer and charge the difference between the current demand and the surplus, or additional demand on the system, and charge the capital improvement charges appropriately. With respect to this, the main reason the provision is in the ILA is to allay community concerns that this was a data center, because if there's transparency with respect to the water, sewer, and electrical demand, you can, have that extra confidence that, it's not a data center. It really is akin to a distribution center, with the demand. I also want to note, I don't know if this has been brought up, I believe Arlington also had amended their code to eliminate data centers.
No, and I understand that. It's more of, it would be nice if we actually had a policy in place that there is a cap on water so that a data center can't be snuck in somehow. Because, all of a sudden they build this building to do one thing, and next thing you know, they're using more water than they said they were going to. So it would be nice if, we got more
the
report
safeguard
from the water
there.
guy.
Oh, I did want to mention the safeguard there is that if it's a change of occupancy, they're supposed to resubmit to us, and that would absolutely be a change of occupancy that would be subject to our review.
I don't know the details of this agreement, really, being the new guy here in town, so apologies if I get out of field. But there's a practical limit. There's a practical limit to how much water you can get through the pipe. So when the project will come through review, it will be approved for the type of use that they're building that day. So if they put in a 2-inch meter, the water going through the 2-inch meter will serve that usage. If they want to then go 10 times that amount, the water going through that size meter for the size use when they get the permit won't go through that infrastructure anymore. So they're, by the nature of how the buildings will be constructed, there's some fail-safe element into that. On the electrical, it's probably the bigger key, because the PUD will not let them build something for, a bazillion gigawatts when they need, a 240 amp panel, right? So there's practical limitations on how the building is being built. So if they were to come back and say, hey, we need more water, they would need to apply for a new permit to get a different size connection, or a different size sewer connection, or a different type of sewer connection. So if you go from one type of sewer strength to a higher strength, or you go to a higher power consumption, that in theory would typically normally on a normal building permit trigger another level of review from the water, sewer, or the power type of utility. And again, I don't know if that's in the agreement, but that's practicality of how buildings would be built.
That's what I needed to hear, because I didn't know what the fail-safe was, and that makes a lot of sense. I just wasn't sure what it was. Thank you.
Councilmember Norton.
Yeah, I have a question about, I just want to make sure I'm understanding something on section F under interlocal agreement for traffic impact fees. Number 2, So if I'm understanding this correctly, they will have to do an additional traffic study, is that correct? And I guess what I'm just trying to get clarity on is the last sentence about trips to or from the project site and land uses within Arlington using Marysville roadways are considered de minimis for proportionate share impacts and will not be used to determine Marysville traffic impact fees. I guess I'm just, I'm curious if you can just explain that to me, that last sentence.
Would you, one of you like to weigh in, or I can attempt, but I may not be the best at answering that specific question.
This is typical and consistent with what we're doing with projects that are, well, our projects anywhere, but especially true when you've got a project that is right on the border of one jurisdiction from the other. We don't currently have an agreement in place with Arlington where, for example, we're collecting impact fees across for a project that might be in Arlington, for example, that it drives traffic on Marysville streets. So for our ability to collect impact fees, vice versa for Marysville within Arlington, that's reflecting that here, that we don't have that agreement currently in place. We have talked about addressing that in the future between the two jurisdictions, especially with the CIC in place. But it's consistent with any project that would be going in up there.
Okay, but perhaps addressed in the future?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we have had many conversations, and it was beyond putting it into this agreement, but really we should be looking at that in the future for any future projects in the CIC.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Councilmember Perkins.
That was my same question and concern. Looking at the map, it looked like delivery service would be going through that north end, and so that if that's how things were working, then it would be considered an impact in Marysville. But if they decided to change plans and bring things in and out 172nd, then it wouldn't be counted as impact in Marysville.
Correct.
So, yeah. Okay.
Correct. And
That was a
they do,
concern.
they have provided traffic count numbers, anticipated numbers, like what we would see with any development. And again, there's provisions for how much traffic that was anticipated in that development agreement for the CIC. If they anticipate exceeding that, then we would look at additional mitigation, both in terms of fees and potentially projects that would need to be constructed to address that additional impact.
And is there a mechanism for addressing change in traffic patterns after things get rolling and added, and added access to the freeway could possibly change those patterns a few years down the road?
In terms of modeling for traffic impact fees, I believe that the interchange is currently part of the modeling, so they take that into consideration, use of that, and where vehicle trips would likely distribute. Once traffic impact fees are collected, though, if operations change, unless it's something that is constituted as a change of use or an expansion to the building, that's typically it. Once you collect the fees on that initial project, that's done, and then you would only be revisiting traffic impact fees should the scale of the project increase or if it becomes a change of occupancy generating more traffic impact fees. And Director Laycock, please amend my response if any of that requires it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there's nothing further, Councilmember Norton?
Not a question. I think it's just something just for public and anyone who's listening, just to ensure that if we do approve this agreement, it's not approving this project, it's just this interlocal that allows these cities to continue to move forward on the permitting and all of the things typical of any sort of development. So just want to make sure that that's clear, that this is just allowing the cities to move forward. It's not approving any particular project.
Thank you. And if there's no further questions, we'll open the floor to see if council wishes to make any motions. Councilmember Norton.
Sorry, I have one more comment. I do think that it would be wise for us, this is not a data center, but I do think it would be wise for us to consider the 6-month moratorium for the city to at least look at what we should do with our zoning to address data centers. That gives us time to be responsible and to analyze it, perhaps study it in Economic Development Committee, and ensure that, we take the steps to protect the city, however that may look like. So again, not necessarily pertinent to this, but I think since this particular project has brought up this data center issue, I would like to propose that we do move forward with the 6-month moratorium. And we can talk about that, I guess, later. Or I don't know if I should make a motion to have it come back to us at a next meeting, but.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, so City, as you know, Attorney Walker's given you some thoughts on that, and I think a direction from council to staff to bring that back would be helpful at some point, if that's what you wish.
I would add to that Attorney Walker's been working on that. We have been discussing that internally, and our plan currently would be to bring something to the council for your consideration at your July 6th council meeting.
Great. Thank you.
I think Councilmember James had something. Did you have anything additional, or is that an old one?
Well, it was open to make a motion.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Okay.
If we're ready for that. Is that suggestion that you made, I agree with, and I think that's a good idea regarding a moratorium, but unrelated to this project. I think I feel fine. This project has got plenty of safeties built in, and we've got an ILA here that is going to be pretty solid. Not worried about this being a data center. But regarding data centers, yeah, we should definitely visit that since that's a hot topic right now. But this project looks good, yeah. So I'm ready for.
Okay.
Are we ready? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Where are we at here? I move to authorize the mayor to sign and execute the ILA with the city of Arlington for the project Cascade Development.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember James, seconded by Councilmember Norton. Is there any final discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 4-0. Yes, does somebody? All right, thank you. Chief?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, thank you. Chief Scarpin again before you. So item 16, an interlocal reimbursement agreement between the cities of Everett and the city of Marysville. Most of you are aware that we've had some World Cup soccer here in the Seattle region. There's been a number of watch parties that have been planned around the Pacific Northwest. One of those was in Everett. Everett had requested mutual aid resources from us. So we've sent officers down to help staff those watch parties, make sure that any emergencies in the area can be handled effectively. For that, there is a grant program that is available through the U.S. Department of Homeland Security that's then passed down to the state and then down to Everett. So I think we're like a Tier 4 subrecipient, potentially, of some grant dollars that can help reimburse some of the overtime and staffing costs that we've incurred by offering these resources to Everett to cover those watch parties. So that's what this interlocal agreement is before you. It says that the agreement amount is for $140,000. We have not incurred nearly that amount of expense for the city. Our costs have been more in the $10,000 range. And with your approval tonight, we're hoping to be able to submit that paperwork and help Everett get that money so that we can then receive reimbursement.
Thank you. Council, any questions here? Okay, open the floor for any potential motion. Councilmember Perkins?
I move to authorize the mayor to sign and execute the interlocal reimbursement agreement with the city of Everett.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Perkins, seconded by Councilmember Richards. Any final discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Council
Chief.
Mayor, thank you.
Few items under mayor's business. Did want to thank everybody involved with the Strawberry Festival this past weekend. Really came off well. The weather cooperated, great crowds, and so appreciate all the I know Mary Fest, first of all, recognize Mary Fest, a volunteer organization, for the great work that they do to do the heavy lifting of this year-round endeavor and make it come off here. And then all of our city staff that is also involved. It's also a heavy lift for a number of our departments, and appreciate all the mutual aid. I had a chance to talk to some officers from other jurisdictions and thank them for coming as well. And so, yeah, just a great all-around event. So thank you to everybody. I did have a chance on Sunday afternoon, June the 14th, to attend the all residents meeting at Glenwood Mobile Estates over on 64th here at their invitation, and did want to pass along a couple things. Their main concern is these multinational corporations and other corporations that are buying these up and then essentially trying to move the residents that currently live there out through substantial increases in their rent, et cetera, and then redevelop it or do something else with it to make more money. So obviously communicated our sympathies with them on that, and that the city has looked at any and every way we can assist with that. And they were very thankful. Probably the most important step we took as a city was the zoning overlay that prevents somebody from purchasing this and then getting it rezoned. So that takes away that motivation right there. Obviously, there's not much we can do at the city level regarding rent raises and things like that. The state has done some things to, to limit the ability to rent, raise those rents and whatnot. And at any rate, they wanted me to, they were just pass along their gratefulness for that overlay, which they thought was the most positive step the city could take to assist in that. And it was just a great overall meeting. So they're really appreciative of city services, including police and others. And so I enjoyed attending that. Strawberry Fields ribbon cutting went really great. Thanks to everybody involved in that, everybody who pushed to get that project done in time for the ribbon cutting there, so people could enjoy it throughout the summer during the World Cup when everybody wants to get out and play soccer. And so just a great addition to our community. And then it sounds like we do have consensus, but correct me if I'm wrong, for us to go ahead and bring the moratorium back for your consideration on July the 6th. So Attorney Walker can polish that up, and we'll have that here before you for the next meeting on the 6th.
We have work session item, so we'll just talk about it and then vote at the next meeting.
Yeah, that one is actually advertised for a voting meeting because we had another item that needed voting. So you could vote if you could workshop it and vote, or if you want. That's it for me. Staff, yes, Director Laycock.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Last week, the council received a letter from gentleman Derek Franz in regards to the intersection 71st Soper Hill Road and Sunnyside Boulevard. So where that intersection comes to a all-way stop at multiple angles, the member of the community, advised us to get some action going on the project with concerns for safety and congestion that we're aware of. We've previously included this project in our 6-year transportation improvement program, which was identified as Project 18. That Project 18 is actually scheduled out into the latter part and currently identified as unfunded. Prior, the city did a study in 2019, or completed the study in 2019 that evaluated basically alternatives for that intersection, and from that determination found a roundabout to be the preferred option versus a signal. Both were around the same cost, but ultimately from an operational stance and safety, the roundabout rose to the top. So from that sense, we've been monitoring kind of the traffic concurrency and other issues with the project as we are already starting to look at the upcoming budget and plan for the annual 6-year TIP as well, looking to incorporate funds to advance some level of design on this project, which would make it more, open to other funding sources. Ultimately, back when we studied this intersection, it was about $5.5 million in costs, 2019 costs, probably more now. Nonetheless, we will be looking at this project as we review our budget. It is part of our traffic impact fee and is eligible. but now we assign actually percentages towards growth, what is eligible for costs. So about 30% of what we're collecting in traffic impact fees, specifically geared towards this intersection, be able to use traffic impact fees for. That means looking at our funding and how we fund this project is definitely going to come from other funding sources, whether internal, such as TBD, or predominantly grants. But again, we'll have to look at what it would take to ultimately put this project together. And yes, the county is our south partner in this. I know you're going to be asking the question there. Now, whether or not the county can contribute funds to this project, we'll continue to have those conversations moving forward.
Their impact fees as well.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. Attorney Walker?
We do have one executive session item tonight, potential litigation. Expect 15 minutes and action is expected.
Councilmember Candelius, calling council.
Thank you. I'll echo my congratulations to everybody involved with Strawberry Festival. I thought from an outsider's perspective, as much of an outsider as I am, it seemed like it went off flawlessly. The parade was packed the entire way down, so it was great to see. I had the honor of emceeing the welcome dinner for the dignitaries from out of town on Friday night, and I asked the crowd, I said, how many of you have never been to Marysville before? And about half of them had never been to Marysville before. So it was nice to see some new folks coming into the community, and I think there's nothing better to welcome people that had never been here before than the Strawberry Festival. So looked like everybody had a great time. Congratulations to all involved. And the only other thing I'll mention that the mayor didn't was the mayor was on a housing panel last week with the mayor of Linwood and Everett. I thought he did a really good job articulating our views on housing and how we've dealt with some of the challenges from the state and everything in a reasonable way, and I thought it was very well received. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember James.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, congrats to the new police officers and custody officers. Always good to see that happen and filling the ranks up with really good candidates. That's great. And then, yeah, Maryfest and the city, thank you guys. It's been really great the whole week, and the parade really went off well. Particularly, though, I wanted to mention on Sunday of the week, Tara had me come and work with Parks to help the American Legion retire the flag over at Jennings Park. That's the first time I've been to one of those ceremonies. That was really an honor to be there for that. And then I made my rounds back over here the same day to see the flags that were out in front of the Civic Center. Those were phenomenal. I hope we can do that more than just one day, even in the future, because everybody loved that, and it was really great. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Perkins.
Yeah, I would echo appreciation for everybody that's pitching in, Maryfest. I found it striking how many events there are that are just free to come and enjoy, and how many people from the city take advantage of those. And that only happens because the city's pitching in, the school district's pitching in, businesses are pitching in. Everybody's pitching in to make that happen, and it's pretty impressive. It says a lot about our city, and I think it's also important that we highlight when the city does a great job of supporting its youth, and I think Strawberry Fields is a great example of that. That was the field that I went out and played ball in when I was a kid. I grew up there in Timberbrook, except that it was just overgrown, and we would use cow pies for the bases and run through the tall grass and rip up our legs. And it's great to have some wild space, but it's really nice for those kids to have a nice field to play on, and I think it says a lot that we make that a priority.
Thank you. Councilmember Richards.
Yeah, I'll echo Councilmember James's comment about Flag Day. It was awesome. I got all three events because I made it down to Opera House too for a little while and checked that out. I'm wondering, can we put those flags? Is there any way to display them downstairs in the public area? Is there any way that we can get them up just to show them off until the 4th, just in the common area? I mean, I don't know. It's just it would be nice to have them up because they're cool and they should be shown off. So that Strawberry Festival was awesome. The events I made, I missed the parade because my son came up and we had Father's Day dinner Saturday night, but which was even better. I mean, the parade was, I'm sure, was awesome, but dinner with my kids was even better. So World Cup soccer is in full swing. Actually, I was watching the Norway Senegal game right before the meeting here on my phone. So Norway won 3-2. If anybody cared. The mayor does, I know. Lime bikes. I've noticed 2 of them today parked on sidewalks. And I don't think that we have a contract with Lime Bikes, so I think people probably bought them from Everett and rode them out here. I don't know if there's any way we can get Lime to come pick them up and take them back where they belong, but I know there's one by the post office, and I think there was one out by Fred Meyer. I saw another one. I think it was near Fred Meyer's, so. Anyway, congratulations to new officers. It's always great to get officers sworn in. Just for clarification, I was not against the fee, adding the fee for credit cards and e-checks. I just thought we should have had a little bit more separation and get a little more information on what actual e-check costs are. But again, I'm not against it, but I just was, that's actually one of the few, actually maybe the only time I've ever voted no. And looking forward to AWC this week or next, yeah, it's this week, actually starting tomorrow. So, and that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Norton.
Yeah, one committee report, Public Safety Committee met on the 16th. We discussed an upcoming increase in Snohomish County jail costs that will be coming next year. Reviewed the crime stats, which are still looking great, down from last year significantly. At the time of the meeting, there were 7 patrol openings and 1 custody opening. And yeah, always great. It's exciting to see the officers sworn in. It's been a long time since we've had so many, which was awesome. That's great to see. So always happy to see those. And yeah, just I'll add my kudos to everyone that was involved with Strawberry Festival, especially, here our city staff, so many different departments who helped pull that off, and certainly to Mary Fest for all the work that they do. And yeah, weather was great, and it's not always that way. So we enjoy it when it's sunny and beautiful. So just great job. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we'll all move into the back room here for our executive session.
It's just about 9:03, so we'll return at 9:18.
Okay. At 9:18, we'll call back to order. And I believe we hit that.
We can call it
All
back
right.
to order, Mayor.
Call the session back to order. Attorney Walker does have a recommended motion for council to consider.
I do, Mayor, and that motion would be to authorize the mayor to cause legal proceedings to be instituted and prosecuted against Terra Dynamics Incorporated and Endurance Assurance Corporation.
So moved.
Councilmember Norton makes the motion. Councilmember Candela second. Any final discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Does anybody abstain? The motion passes. Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Wow, 2 motions in 2 seconds. No. Councilmember James, and we'll go Councilmember Norton with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.